During his trip, President Biden warned that parts of the globe can expect to see food shortages. He said sanctions on Russia will affect the U.S. and other countries too. Earlier today, I spoke to foreign policy expert Harley Lippman to learn more about this. He studied at the Ukrainian Research Institute at Harvard and was also a key negotiator on the Abraham Accords. Harley, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
And could you explain to our viewers why Ukraine and Russia are important players in the food supply chain?
Well, if you just take wheat, for example, Russia and Ukraine make up 30% of the world's wheat. So that has a huge impact. Just think of cereal or so many other foods that have wheat in it. So the black soil of Ukraine is known as an incredible breadbasket, incredibly fertile, and they export a huge amount of food to the world.
Right, and the sanctions have affected that. And indeed, fertilizer bills are also expected to jump by 12% this year after Russia told its fertilizer producers to halt exports. So how soon could a food shortage hit the U.S., and what might that look like?
Well, it has already happened. So the food shortage has hit. It's already been here because of COVID. We've had weakness in the supply chain. And what else affects a food shortage is weather. There's been droughts around the world. So food production has declined already. And now it's like a perfect storm. With the war in Ukraine, it's only going to get worse. So what the Biden administration can do is, frankly, not that much. There isn't, but it can do a few things. One is it could coordinate with countries around the world and make sure that there's open and free trade. Once you get protectionism and restrictions, it just hurts all parties. The second is they could create a safety net for the bottom 10 or 20% of the world, because it's the poor people that are going to be affected the most. So if they have some humanitarian way of getting people food, that would be another way that the Biden administration can make a difference. Actually, there is something else that can be done to help countries, is to give money to farmers. Because we used to actually give money to farmers not to grow crops. Because like 50 years ago, we had a surplus of agricultural crops. We don't anymore. We have a reservoir and surplus of oil, for example. We have strong oil reserves, but we don't have for food. Nobody thought about this. This is something that seems to have surprised everyone. So the challenge that farmers have right now, actually, is that if they grow wheat, they're afraid if all of a sudden the Ukrainian crisis is resolved, they're going to be left holding the bag. Because for them, they have to pay a lot more money for fuel and for fertilizer. So even though they're eager to grow wheat because they can get more money, since the cost of wheat is going up a lot and they'll make more money, they have to balance it against the higher cost of fertilizer and fuel. So it has to make good business sense for farmers. And this is where the government could weigh in and make sure that this is a win-win so we have the food supplies that we need.
And what can people do to avoid being punished by those high prices?
Well, shift. That's what this is all about now. It's a great time to make cornbread. It's a great time to bring out grandma's recipe for lentil soup. Let's celebrate Ukraine and have borscht, potatoes. This is what you have to do. Make your own food. Grow your own food.
Harley Lippman, thank you.
Thank you.